We all have individuals we look up to. It could be a real-life person, like a family member or a famous athlete. It could even be a fictional figure, like a superhero or a character on your favorite TV show. I would say it's considerably feasible to claim that many of us have someone we look to in order to actualize our values, our ethics and limits, and even our system of personal beliefs. These individuals shape our worldviews. Our perspectives on life and the world around us are refined through their idolization. Granted, there are times when this idolization can get dangerous. Times when the adoration becomes obsession. Times when veneration becomes deification. Luckily for the Renaissance-era master assassin Ezio Auditore, this reverence for an individual never spiraled into extremity. Ezio had for himself an honorable, hard-working, loving mentor to fill the role Ezio's father had left after his execution. And who is this man? Who is the one Ezio idolizes? The assassin, the leader, the Italian mentor, Mario Auditore. I've done character videos before, and much like those, I will attempt to discuss only the events that include or are related to the video's subject, even though some of the figures and events in this video will need explanations themselves. I will also be keeping the same format. We'll go over his character history, then have a short discussion on that history and the character itself. Let's go. Mario Auditore was born on March 19, 1434, in Monteregione, a small village in Tuscany. Nothing is currently, or at least officially, known about his mother or father, although we do know that on the night of his birth, when his mother's midwives were tending to her, a Florentine mercenary infiltrated the villa to dispatch the child. But when the house attendants entered Mario's chambers, the mercenary was dead. It is an ongoing mystery as to what exactly transpired in the room, as Mario was the only one present. When Mario turned 2, his younger brother, Giovanni, was born. I have a video on him if you'd like to dive into his life. Due to their family's bloodline of assassin lineage, both he and his brother were trained in the Order's ways from a very young age. Mario was different from his brother in several ways. One notable difference being that Giovanni was taught and tutored in various academic subjects, including law and banking, with Mario preferring work that kept his hands dirty, for lack of better terms. It is perhaps due to these differences that Giovanni decided to leave his residence in Monteregione and move to Florence, desiring to start a family and run several businesses, armed with his formal and extensive education. In 1454, with his brother gone and his father deceased, Mario then became the ruler and protector of the town. During this time, not only did Monteregione prosper, with many businesses and defenses being erected all over the village, but Mario kept in contact with Giovanni via written letters. In one of these letters, we could perhaps see why Giovanni and Mario did not see each other very often. With Mario writing, he preferred fighting like a man to filling out balance sheets. Letters like this, and the fact that there were letters sent at all, heavily imply that Mario and Giovanni rarely saw each other after 1454. Around this time, and even years prior, Monteregione had some diplomatic issues with Florence.
We are now synchronizing the DDS. Land-hungry Florence sought possession of the walled city of Monteregione, but it held strong for years under the guidance of the Auditore family. You will dissect the memories of Mario Auditore, who struggled to keep his city safe throughout the latter half of the 15th century.
Florence was attempting to capture the Tuscan countryside. These issues culminated time and time again with various military strikes and assaults on the town. Indeed, one of Mario's most important and consistent tasks as leader of the city was to maintain its defense. As a consequence of these political issues, spy networks played a key role in maintaining the town's continued existence. Sometime in 1454, Mario had discovered that a Florentine informant and noble, Luciano Pizzati, had been residing in Monteregione for some time. It is speculated that he had been employed by the same Templars currently plotting to throw Florence into political disarray, the ones we see in Assassin's Creed lineage. Mario then took a group of mercenaries to confront this spy. Mario, having bested Luciano in combat personally, took his captive and questioned him, learning that the famous mercenary leader, Federico da Montefeltro, was on his way to assault the city. Mario quickly strengthened his defenses and successfully drove back the attack on his town. Sometime after this, Luciano, still a captive in Monteregione, revealed to Mario the reasoning for the assault. The attack, and one could even say prior attacks, were all parts of a grand plan to find an alleged artifact in a crypt underneath the city. Curious, Mario spoke to a few architects and historians to gather what information he could about the city's past, and learned that there was indeed a well that had been drained and excavated sometime in history. After assembling a team, Mario and the group entered the well. During this trek, hidden traps emerged within its walls, and several members of the group lost their lives. One such trap, a swinging pendulum, trapped Mario and scraped him badly, leaving him blind in the left eye with a scar across his face. Pressing on, Mario finds a hidden box within the well, and from it came voices and visions. This presence, as it's called in the wiki, spoke of healing and alleviation of all pain. Fearful, Mario decided not to open the box and seek what lied within, as, from his point of view, there must have been some reason as to why this unknown artifact was hidden away and kept within a box in the first place. This decision had consequences, however, as the last of the men in the group lashed out in anger of Mario not opening it. This resulted in Mario being forced to cut down his own men and emerging from the well alone. Mario then summoned his brother to Monteregione. He then handed the box, unknowingly containing a Shroud of Eden, to Giovanni, dismissing it as, quote, the Brotherhood's problem. Giovanni took the box and hid it away for years, but that story is a story for another time. In 1476, Giovanni and his two sons, Federico and Bertuccio, were executed by Templar puppets under the command of Rodrigo Borgia, the Grand Master of the Italian Templar Order. Ezio, having miraculously survived the hangings due to his task of delivering his father's letters throughout the city, grabbed his mother Maria and his sister Claudia and escaped to the countryside. Just as the three neared the town, they were then ambushed by Vieri de Pazzi and his men, who hoped to eliminate the Auditore family name forever. Fortunately for the survivors, Mario and a number of mercenaries arrived on the scene and successfully repelled the attack.
Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario!
Mario then took his family and housed them in Monteregione. Mario then began grooming Ezio into the Assassin Order, informing him of his heritage and teaching him the ways and beliefs of the Brotherhood. This went on for 2 years, and Ezio became adept in assassin skills and tactics.
Don't think I haven't seen you picking apart my library. I trust you believe me now?
Yes, my father was an assassin. But why the need for such secrecy?
Are you familiar with the Templars? One of several knightly orders formed during the Crusades. History teaches they were disbanded nearly 200 years ago in France. Only they weren't. Merely pushed underground, where they continued their nefarious work.
In 1478, however, Ezio rebuked Mario's wishes in remaining with his uncle and fighting the Templars, instead choosing to take his mother and sister to Spain for their safekeeping. Mario, taking this as a betrayal of family lineage and heritage, was furious and left for San Gigiamo, something like that, to assassinate Vieri. Ezio came to rethink his decision, though, and raced to meet up with Mario and the mercenary group. A battle commenced, and Ezio ended up assassinating the Templar. Throughout the years after this, Ezio went on to assassinate multiple members of the Italian Templar Order, despite not officially being a member of the Assassin Brotherhood. Mario and the other members of the Assassins, in the meantime, focus on the Templar leadership and the bigger picture involved in their plans. Somehow, the Mentor and his fellow Assassins found out about an Apple of Eden's transport to Italy from Cyprus.
It's me, Mario!
And planned to intercept the delivery. Shockingly, after reaching Rodrigo and the Apple itself, they found Ezio already engaged with the Grand Master and his men. Mario and his order dove into the fight, assisting Ezio, retrieving the apple and forcing Rodrigo to flee for his life. Ezio was then formally introduced to the assassin members, all of whom had already encountered him throughout his journey, and was officially inaugurated into the Brotherhood. With the Piece of Eden secured, Mario, Ezio, Machiavelli, and Leonardo all met to examine the strange artifact. After accidentally activating the apple and coming to grips with the Piece of Eden's true power, Mario handed the artifact over to his nephew and suggested that he go to a friendly location, Fourthly, which was ruled over by an assassin ally, Caterina Sforza. Fourthly was then assaulted by Rodrigo's mercenaries, and the apple was lost, but this is not Ezio's story.
Mario!
Nevertheless, 10 years later, when Ezio returned to Florence to eliminate Girolamo Savonarola, Mario was there. Ezio had assassinated Salvi, and the Apple of Eden was again reclaimed. It is not known exactly what Mario was doing during this decade of Ezio's search for the apple, but we do know that at some point within this time, Ezio requested Mario's assistance in traveling to Spain and reinforcing their Spanish assassin brothers with some sort of conflict. Mario, of course, obliged.
It's a me!
In December 1499, Ezio had successfully retrieved all of the pages to Altair's Codex, a document penned by the famous assassin outlining information about communication with the Isu and the importance of the Vatican. That same month, the Italian Brotherhood gathered in Montedegione to discuss next steps and examine both the apple and the Codex. What they learned shocked them to the nth degree. The pages of the Codex uncovered a map of the world, much of which at this time was not discovered yet, and in which locations of various Isu temples, or vaults, were marked. One of these temples was in the Vatican. The Order finally understood why Rodrigo had worked his way up to the papacy. Mario and the other assassins concluded that the best idea would be to distract the papal armies while Ezio encountered Rodrigo. Not only did Ezio engage the Pope in combat, but he also entered the vault and communicated with one of the Isu, Minerva, who used him as a conduit to speak to Desmond, Ezio's far descendant in the current timeline. Afterward, Ezio met up with Mario, who assisted him in escaping the area. During their escape, they reached the top of a large building overlooking the Tiber River, and both contemplate whether or not they should drop the artifact down into it.
This decision is yours alone to make. Only do so quickly. Give it to me. You can do with it as you will later.
Bene.
Jump!
Mario, seeing his nephew hesitant to do so, reassures Ezio that they will make a decision later with what to do with it. They escape the area and return to Montedegione.
It's a me!
Ezio then explained to the Order what had transpired in the vault. On January 2nd, 1500, Montedegione suddenly came under attack by Templar and Papal forces under the command of the Grand Master's son, Cesare. Leading the defense, Mario tasked Ezio with manning the walls and directing the artillery fortifications while he gathered as many men as he could muster for a forefront assault on the Borgia lines outside the main gate. Ezio handed the apple over to Mario for safekeeping during the attack.
It's the Borgia!
How did we not see this?
They must have massed to the east during the night. We need to hold them off until the townspeople have escaped.
I will take care of it.
Use the cannons above the rampart. I intend to lead a frontal assault.
Do you have it?
I am keeping it safe. The Borgia must not be allowed to breach the walls until everyone is safely away. Insieme per la vittoria.
Unfortunately, Mario's assault failed. Cesare's forces were able to break through the mercenary line and enter the city through the front gate. Mario can be seen limping slowly inside. Cesare then executed Mario in full view of our young hero, prompting Ezio to abandon his position on the walls, escaping with the rest of the Auditore family and the few remaining survivors of the city's defenders. Cesare had Mario decapitated and his head placed on a pike. The town was destroyed, the villa desecrated, and the Order was forced to relocate to Rome to restart operations. Machiavelli then took command, acting as leader of the Brotherhood until Ezio eventually became mentor sometime later. There are a number of things I enjoy about Mario's character and a number of things I don't. Let's be positive and go through the great things about him first. Mario was a hard-working, active, and passionate man of the Order. He clearly loved his nephew, and treated him like a son when Ezio's actual father had been killed. Nearly every single instance in which he has dialogue, he is almost always positive and uplifting. He was an adept fighter, tearing through scores of soldiers on multiple occasions, and taught Ezio everything he knew when it came to the realities of the world. Moreover, he seems to be fairly sacrificial, braving the labyrinth of the underground well beneath Montedegione, bringing the Order to help Ezio and assure the Templars did not take control of the apple, fighting his way to the Vatican to assist his nephew in escaping the confrontation with Rodrigo, and even leading the charge against Cesare when his city came under assault. He willfully placed himself in harm's way a great many times, and one way or another, mostly came out unscathed. He really was quite resilient. In addition to his fighting and combat prowess, Mario seems to be a skilled freerunner, showing us that he can indeed keep up with Ezio during their escape from the Vatican, and could easily perform a leap of faith into the Tiber River afterwards. The dude is 65 years old. What a fucking baller.
It's a me!
The last thing I love about this man is his self-control. There are many instances where something abnormal or even extraordinary is occurring, and his composure remains calm. After the apple showed its wonder to himself, Machiavelli, Leo, and Ezio, he calmly gave orders for Ezio to take the apple to fourthly.
This must never fall into the wrong hands. It would drive weaker minds insane.
No doubt the Spaniard will be relentless in his desire to gain it back.
Ezio, you must protect this with all the skills we have taught you.
Take it to Forli. The citadel is walled, protected by cannons, and our ally controls it.
When Ezio discusses what happened in the Vatican, he doesn't bombard Ezio with millions of questions and sudden gasps. He is contemplative.
After her warning, she vanished.
Amazing.
I cannot imagine such wonders.
The vault did not house the terrible weapon we feared. This is good news.
What of this goddess, this Minerva? Did she appear human?
Yes, but her words proved otherwise. All of her kind died many years ago. I wish I could show you the magic she performed.
Who is Desmond, and where are these temples Minerva spoke of?
I do not know.
Perhaps we must search for them.
When Cesare attacks Montedegione, he maintains his focus and directs his defenses.
It's the Borgia!
How did we not see this?
They must have massed to the east during the night. We need to hold them off until the townspeople have escaped.
I will take care of it.
Use the cannons above the rampart. I intend to lead a frontal assault.
Do you have it?
I am keeping it safe. The Borgia must not be allowed to breach the walls until everyone is safely away. Insieme per la vittoria.
Insieme.
When Ezio loses the Papal Staff of Eden and scores of papal guards are descending upon their position, Mario states that Ezio need not worry about the staff.
Better in the hands of the earth than in the hands of man.
Uncle.
What can I say? We sent a single man against an entire army. I was worried. Quick, climb up. We have to get out of here.
When Machiavelli has a short bout of righteous anger hearing Ezio's reasons for not dispatching Rodrigo in Rome, Mario retains his warm, peaceful persona.
Tell me how it ended with Borgia. Did Rodrigo beg forgiveness? Make excuses? Promise power in return?
No. None of those things.
Interesting. I'm surprised he remained so composed.
I let him leave.
The Spaniard lives! Once our enemies are dead, we can speak of vaults and gods and ancient places. You should have killed him. We're sure to suffer for it.
I am not here to debate the past. Together, we should discuss the future.
No. I am leaving immediately for Roma.
Ezio, I do not know why you spared him, but I trust your judgment. Machiavelli will come around.
My favorite example of this, however, is Mario's wisdom in the moments after Vietti's death. Ezio, immature at this time, lashes out in emotional hatred toward the deceased Templar, cursing him as his life slips away. But Mario is there to remind Ezio to not become the very thing he swears to destroy.
What are you and your allies planning? Is this what my father discovered? Is this why he was killed?
I'm sorry. Were you hoping for a confession?
Pezzo di merda! Vorrei solo che avessi sofferto di più! Hai avuto la fine che meritavi! Spero che
Enough, Ezio! Show some respect.
Respect? After all that's happened, do you think he would have shown either of us such kindness?
You are not Fieri. Do not become him. Che la morte ti dia le pace che cercavi. Requiesca in pace.
Now the bad. There are a few things I want to talk about here. I hate sounding so negative about the series all the time, but sometimes it forces me to do so. To clarify, I don't mean to say I want to discuss the bad things about Mario in a way that signifies there are like negative qualities inherent to his character. What I mean when I say bad is the numerous examples of Ubisoft writing themselves into corners. These corners are of lunacy and mindlessness because there are facets of Mario's actions and behaviors that make absolutely no sense. Sometimes it's due to the incongruent histories of the locations, characters, and events involved, and sometimes it's Ubisoft shooting themselves in the fucking goddamn foot with stupidity. The Assassin's Creed wiki tells us that Mario was a very loving man, extending this description to him holding immense love for his family, but the only family we know outside of Ezio was Giovanni, whom Mario rarely ever sees and never assists. Ezio didn't even really know Mario when he met him.
You have my thanks.
Keep the sword, Ezio.
Do I know you from somewhere?
Don't you recognize me? It's a me!
We could even assume the same for Federico and Petruccio. Seriously, in my Giovanni Auditore look back, I went over how often one researching his character would notice his burden of standing alone in the fight for Florence against the Templars. Giovanni traveled to multiple cities and got into several intense fights, not just with Templar agents, but twice with Rodrigo himself. If Mario had such love and admiration for his family, how could you not go assist your own brother in the struggle for Italy's continued liberty from Templar rule? Outside of Paola, Giovanni is the only assassin operative in that region. You'd think someone would be able to go help him. To this point, wouldn't you say the most viable candidate for that help would come from Mario, a fellow assassin, a family member, the literal mentor of the Italian Brotherhood? This leads into perhaps the biggest point I want to make with Mario's character. The fact that Mario is the assassin mentor in the Italian Brotherhood is, in my opinion, kinda nonsensical. Let's go over my justification for such an outrageous statement with 4 examples. Mario and Giovanni. We have already discussed Mario leaving Giovanni out to dry in Florence, but there are a few more things attached to this example. We saw in the short film Assassin's Creed Lineage that Giovanni was in pursuit of Rodrigo for some time, and with this we can insinuate he indeed knew of him and his membership in the Templars. However, at this time, Rodrigo was already on his way to becoming Pope, or at the very least climbing the Catholic ranks. Why would Mario, the mentor of the assassins, not take this seriously? I am aware that they had no knowledge of the Papal Staff of Eden at the time, but would it not be a very bad thing for a Templar to hold a high position in one of the most popular and arguably most powerful religion at the time? Why would Mario not assist his brother in this struggle? Perhaps he didn't know of it? Why not? Why would Mario, the mentor of the assassins, not know of this big operation his brother is conducting? He doesn't have any knowledge of his own men's missions and objectives? What was Mario's opinion on Giovanni's goals before the events of Assassin's Creed 2? What was Mario's opinion on Giovanni's alliance with Lorenzo de' Medici? Did he approve? Was he indifferent? No idea. Mario as the mentor. Mario is the mentor, but during the moments when he should be taking the lead in serious discussions and plans, Mario doesn't act like the mentor. Machiavelli is clearly taking center stage each and every time we are gathering to discuss anything related to Templars or assassin operations in general. Machiavelli was the one to take the main role in introducing Ezio to the Order. Machiavelli was the one to lead his inauguration. Machiavelli was the one who was the most adamant about Ezio's failure to assassinate Rodrigo in the vault. Machiavelli was the one who immediately started operations in Rome after the Pope's defeat. Machiavelli was the only obvious choice when it came to who could lead after Mario met his end, and he was the only one who was the last one to emerge to meet Ezio, giving him that mysterious tone when he finally comes out of the darkness. Now, this is me going off script here, but it might just be kind of like a Justice League thing, in that, you know, how like Superman is like the inspirational leader of the Justice League, but Batman is the strategic and tactical leader. I could definitely see that, and now that I'm going off script here, that kind of makes a little bit more sense. Although, you know, I just wish this was touched upon in the games. Mario and the Assassins. We have remarkably little information pertaining to Mario's relationship with anyone in the Order. We see around 5, 6 scenes in which all the assassins are together, and he doesn't seem to have any inside jokes, friendly rivalries, private conversations, or any love shown to anyone in particular. Moreover, his Wikipedia entry details absolutely no dealings with other Brotherhood members, no isolated stories or events, no unique meetings, and no personal interactions with anyone. I bitched about this fact with Giovanni in my look back for him, but perhaps it could maybe have been forgiven due to Giovanni not being mentor. I cannot say the same for Mario. He should have a specific, personal relationship with all of these members, especially because of the size of the Order. I could give modern mentors of the Brotherhood a pass for it being more of a global organization, Eden, but here in Italy, I don't think his indifference holds any water. Mario and the Pieces of Eden. Mario seems to care about the apple quite a bit, which makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is some of the decisions involved with the apple and the other two pieces of Eden he encounters. The first, and perhaps the most transparent, example of Ubisoft's confusing narrative choices is the plot revolving around the Shroud of Eden. Of course, the Shroud is not discovered to be the Shroud until much later, but Mario's reaction to bringing a somewhat magical box out of an excavated well and learning that it had a certain presence drives Mario to want to get rid of it as fast as possible. It makes no sense as to why, but even worse, to justify this, Mario claims it's the Brotherhood's problem. What? Dude, you're the mentor of the Brotherhood. That's the equivalent of an assistant walking into Elon Musk's office saying, "Sir, one of our battery plants has just blown up. There's like 5 million employees dead." And Elon responding, "That's Tesla's problem." There's no defense for this. It just makes anti-sense. Ubisoft, why? Why would you write Mario saying these words? It didn't have to be this way. You didn't have to write this. You didn't have to make this what happened. After all the bitching and griping I've done about this series, I could see Ubisoft screaming at me, "Why are you making all these people not think our stories make sense?" And all I can say is,
you have done that yourself.
this is another example of why Machiavelli should have just been mentor from the very beginning. It just makes the most sense. Mario could have been kind of like Katarina, an ally of the Brotherhood who joins later in life, perhaps after handing over the Shroud to Giovanni. But instead, we had the leader of the Brotherhood who doesn't keep track of his members, doesn't want to take care of a piece of Eden, and actively pushes responsibilities off of his shoulders and onto others. Why would Mario assume the papal staff entering the floor of the Vatican to be unretrievable? Why would he think tossing the Apple of Eden into some random river would be a good idea? He's a leader of the assassins, and doesn't turn to Ezio during his contemplation here and go, "Bro, what are you doing? Tossing it in some 7 to 20 foot deep river is not the answer here." Like, obviously, right? Am I crazy? Moreover, later in Brotherhood's story, when Cesare's papal army attacks Monteregione, Ezio learns of Mario's plan to attack the Borgia Force head-on. Like, full frontal assault. And leaves the apple to Mario for safekeeping? What the fuck?
It's the Borgia!
How did we not see this?
They must have massed to the east during the night. We need to hold them off until the townspeople have escaped.
I will take care of it.
Use the cannons above the rampart. I intend to lead a frontal assault.
Do you have it?
I am keeping it safe. The Borgia must not be allowed to breach the walls until everyone is safely away. Insieme per la vittoria.
Insieme. Anton, be careful.
I will. I intend to lead a frontal assault.
Do you have it?
I am keeping it safe. Frontal assault. I am keeping it safe. Frontal assault. I am keeping it safe.
What exactly was the plan here? First off, this is some Game of Thrones Season 8 tactics being employed. Why leave your fortified position and attack head on? Stay inside! If anyone wants to defend this bullshit by saying Mario intended on using the Apple of Eden, then why aren't we privy to a cutscene showing this? You could have added something in the scene where Mario collapses inside the main gate. Dialogue from Cesare saying, "A worthy attempt, assassin, employing an artifact so clearly meant for more sophisticated minds. Even amidst your end, you cannot bend it to your will. But such failures will not trouble me. And on this day, not only do I destroy your home, not only do I eradicate your armies, not only do I take the apple, I take your life." Bam! Headshot. A simple line here would make it make so much more sense. This would insinuate Mario's attempt at using it and would simultaneously justify his frontal assault, his leaving of the fortress, and his taking the apple from Ezio. So simple, yet absent. The plot point involving Mario's taking the apple from Ezio, which doesn't make sense in the first place, makes even less sense when you realize what his plan is. This is just the writer's way to push the story forward. By forcing the apple to once again exchange hands, they found a way to propel the narrative of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It's just lazy and stupid. To top all of this off, kind of a small point, but still one I want to make, we don't get any information whatsoever on how or when Mario became mentor, stealing more investment on his character. Look, I don't want to be a miserable prick here, here, and I understand with this vast universe of lore, one couldn't have written a backstory for each and every character in existence from the beginning of human recorded history and up until now, but if you want this grand of a narrative, at least give me something. We don't have any data on who came before him or why he was made mentor.
It's me, Mario!
Despite all of these complaints, the Auditore family is undoubtedly a family of legends. Giovanni, Claudia, Mario, and of course Ezio all being a part of this roster. When ranking the historical significance of all its members though, I've got to say that right below Ezio, probably a cunt hair below, is Mario. Mario maintained the defense of the assassin stronghold for decades from both hostile invaders and potentially Templar-influenced spies. Mario found and made hidden again one of the Shrouds of Eden. Mario assisted in the securing of an Apple of Eden. He played an instrumental role in the virtual demolishing of the Italian Templar Order. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, he taught and mentored arguably the most important assassin of the era, one who went on to become the next mentor of the Order and fostered the growth of the Brotherhood throughout both Europe and the Middle East. Mario stands as a man absolutely worthy of Ezio's adoration, commemoration, and idolization. The current world in Assassin's Creed would be undeniably worse off if one erased Mario from existence. Even though we are encouraged to establish more of a connection with Giovanni in the beginning of Assassin's Creed 2, given that he is both the player character's father and provided more time with Ezio in the opening moments of the game, I believe Ubisoft wanted to subvert our expectation with a sudden twist in the narrative. Why would they do this? In this enthralling universe, the bond between Mario and Ezio attempts to transcend the realm of usual familial ties, emerging as a testament to resilience in the face of adversity. When the loss of his father plunged Ezio into despair, it was Mario, his uncle, who became the beacon of strength and guidance for him. He offered solace and wisdom and nurtured Ezio's shattered spirit. Mario instilled in him the resolve to rise above his suffering and embark on a journey of true purpose. Their bond serves as a poignant reminder that in the intricate fabric of our own personal lives, there exist countless iterations of Ezio's and Mario's, each relying on the other for compassion and unwavering support. This revelation underscores the profound capacity within each of us to assume the role of Mario, providing encouragement to those weathering the storms of life. Can you be a Mario to an Ezio in your life? In the end, Ezio might look at the mentor's death with despair and sadness. However, I'm inclined to believe that he looked at Mario's life with reverence and gratitude, knowing that without his uncle, he never would have been able to play the part in this world that he was so destined to play.